Welcome to the Smoke and Rope Podcast. I'm your guest, your host, Ryan Basor, and today we got episode 73. 73 straight weeks, so we're creeping up on 75 and shooting for 100 here. So today I'm excited to have NOBO back on, and this time Charles Missant, so sales director of over at NOBO for wholesale and bulk retail. Charles, thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
So I know Charles is an avid Smoke and Rope listener, so I always like that and have good conversations. But Kevin, haven't talked to you this week. What's happening?
Dude, it's just running, and it seems like I'm hit with the technical bug right now. Everything seems to not be working. Last week, midway through the show, my internet goes out. This week, I try to get the laptop up and running, and it won't even power up. So I'm over at the old facility, broadcasting from the old computer. I hope everything goes flawless today. But glad to have Charles and NOBO on. I'm excited to talk to you guys and hear about what you guys got going on over there.
Cool. Yeah, no, you're sounding loud and looking clear. So far, so good. Tom, over at Relief, what's up, man?
What's up? Oh, snow. It's moving snow around. A lot of snow up here, man. It's beautiful. Yeah. What's going on with you, Ryan? How are things with you?
Things are going good. I had some friends stop by. Newton's, the son's doing great. 1 month birthday yesterday and checkup. Gained a couple pounds in 2 weeks, so that was pretty cool. And
awesome.
Still not getting a lot of sleep, but it's been awesome. Enjoying.
Get used to that.
Yeah. So, but I wanted Charles. I actually met Charles for the first time. It was at the old office. It was about 6-7 months ago, and stopped by with Ingo. And Ingo is what's Ingo's title over there, Charles?
Ingo is the vice president of NOBO, and he's been in the director of cultivation role. He just wears a lot of hats.
Yep. And I've actually met Ingo back in 2010. He lived in Okemos and was around when I got raided and came to CCC and would talk to me. And he's definitely a great dude, and it's great team over there that you guys are building. So, but Charles and Ingo came by, gave me some samples. It was excellent getting to know you, Charles. We and then told me some really cool stories about how you got into cannabis. You walked on at Western Michigan. Ended up, making it in the NFL for multiple teams, and then played overseas, and but all along the way, you had a very strong relationship with cannabis. So I found it pretty fascinating, and I also, started following you on your Instagram, and I didn't know who you were at first. I said, "Who is this guy?" And you were all over the state. It sounded like you were willing to jump in the car. If someone wanted to talk, you drive 8 hours and go talk to them. I saw that a couple of times. So very cool. Glad things are going well over there. So like I said, thanks for being on. And why don't you kind of give a little bit of your background and tell a couple stories, and then we'll get into what the market's like.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you once again for having me. It's an honor to be on the show. Big fan. I look forward to meeting Kevin. And it's
Tom.
I'm so sorry. I look forward to meeting you guys both. I started at NOBO Goods in January. Just a little bit different of a route. I started, with the maintenance perspective in the building, and then helping with harvest, helping with trim, anywhere that I could be of service. And then once our harvest started coming down, they needed someone to go out and represent the company. So extremely humbled to have that opportunity. And, I love driving around the state and meeting new people. This is a relationship game. And as Ryan had said, I was fortunate enough to play a little bit of football as a walk-on at Western Michigan, earned a full ride, and same route in the NFL. So kind of that bottom of the food chain, blue collar mentality. And, we bring that same message at NOBO with what we do. We're very humble, selfless, service-oriented people, and we're always striving to get better, whether it's with cultivation or being team leaders or so on and so forth. We're always striving to become better. So just humbled to be a part of the cannabis community.
Thank you. One real quick, when did Well, it doesn't have to be quick. When did your relationship with cannabis start, and how did that work with your football career?
Sure. I grew up very conservative, Catholic altar boy, and it was a no-no in high school. Once I got to Kalamazoo, halfway between Detroit and Chicago, there was, quite the cannabis selection in that town. So picked it up in college, immediately fell in love with it. And, I've been a heavy user for 23 years, all throughout football and all that process. So it's done nothing but be very beneficial for me, my focus, the anti-inflammatory capabilities of it, and obviously the psychoactive effects.
That's great. Now, recently we're gonna actually working on some posts about it. Redemption and NOBO, we teamed up and just did a small run with some Gorilla Breath and also some C4, and that's gone over real well. Those are both in 5 stores. That's the way we started it off, and it's been a big hit, and really enjoyed the flower. But like, tell us about like how it was going in like before and for Croptober, and then obviously. What was that like? And then, I know it got pretty rough out there. I've talked to Ingo, and we talked to a lot of the growers, what was happening. And then how did the Veritas lab scandal affect you guys?
Well, absolutely. And, this Croptober was our first run at Croptober at NOBO. So it was a little bit of an adjustment. We weren't, it's our first time through, so we just had to rely on, our fundamentals of working hard, established relationships, and really hitting the ground hard from a cold call perspective. So in the last 36 days, I've driven 10,222 miles, just kind of combating that, meeting new people, trying to spread the word, just very old school, hit the ground running kind of a sales rep. So I love going around, meeting people, handing out samples, and then just building a relationship and having an opportunity to get feedback, and then humbled enough to have an opportunity to get an opportunity in the store itself. So it's been a unique year. We're on our 18th harvest at NOBO, and we've done nothing but just get better and better and better. That's a testament to Ingo Osland and Derek Smith, our director of cultivation, and the whole team over at El Reco in Benton Harbor. We've really put together something special, family-oriented, selfless, humble group of guys and girls.
Yeah, Charles, that's a great way to go about it. You hit the nail right on the head when you mentioned this is all about relationships. I think that's something that these bigger companies are overlooking. They've always treated this product as like a widget, and we know, we've been part of this for long enough. We know that this isn't a widget and has a lot of different aspects to it, and that stuff needs to be explained and taught and learned, and so I appreciate you guys for taking that approach on your trying to get to meeting people and building those relationship things. But I did want to touch on before you move on too fast from your football days of playing. When I first started growing pot out in Colorado, I ended up doing it full time. And I was playing men's league hockey. I grew up playing hockey. And so I honestly, for about 2 years, I literally treated this men's league like I was a professional, right? I was practicing 2 days a week. We were playing 3 games a week. And I got to this point where I was cross-training, and I thought to myself, like, maybe if I stop smoking, it'll help my game, right? And what I quickly realized, which was counterintuitive to what I thought is that immediately I realized that my creativity wasn't the same. And that when I got back to smoking and going out on the ice, I was doing things that were just happening. I wasn't thinking about it. It would just happen, right? And I was just wondering if you had some of those experiences when you were playing the game. And aside from the anti-inflammatory and things like that, were there other aspects of marijuana that you thought improved your training and things of that nature?
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. I came out of high school, like I said, very conservative and straight edge student athlete. Really didn't drink. I really don't drink at all now, thank God. But, cannabis, it was very taboo. and a high energy guy that needs structure. I have ADHD. So when I found cannabis, the first time I smoked, it really took an effect on me, a positive effect. And it's been a love affair ever since. I love how you said, Kevin, that it promotes creativity, vision. It helped me with everything, focusing, really digging into game film, so on and so forth. And then obviously game day morning, you wake up and you take your couple puffs to relax and get mentally focused for the game. And then obviously hit pregame meal and all that stuff. But it's just been godsend. Like I said, it's such a magnificent plant, and there's so many people doing such a great job at cultivating and all sorts of different strains. And like I said, I'm just humbled. Take that same approach from football, that blue collar mentality, and very transparent and straightforward and service oriented.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with the ADHD thing. I think that there's so much going on when you're on the football field or if you're on the ice, and it's sometimes it's hard to focus. You're trained. Your mind knows, your body knows what you're supposed to do, but sometimes your mind, for someone like me, maybe someone like you, gets a little distracted. But for me, it slows me down, it focuses me, and kind of just lets my body act like it should instead of being so kind of scatterbrained. So I thought that was pretty spot on that you said that with the ADHD.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to touch real quick, I love how you there's a big difference today, as you see in professional sports, especially in the NFL. Cannabis was on that, that blacklist. It wasn't accepted, and it's just a weird ideology. The irony is crazy with it. You see a lot of people getting into trouble with alcohol and DUIs and doing things like that. You really don't hear at all. Like, hey, we got together and had a huge blowout party and things got out of control and we were just, it was cannabis. Cannabis was the reason. So it's been a weird how things have changed. You look at our coaches. Coaches want their players focused on the game, going home, doing the right thing, staying in tune, all those things. And cannabis does nothing but amplify and help all of those ideologies.
What were some of how did you get around it in the NFL? I don't know if you want to divulge too much of that, but obviously there's guys that it's heavily used. That's no secret. But then you see guys like Josh Gordon or some of these other guys, maybe they just couldn't stop. How does that work?
So in the NFL, you're alerted. When the drug testing was going to come, and I played 2005 to almost 2009, and every July, right before training camp, you knew that the drug testing people were coming in, so you were prepared. You put the pipe down, and you got it out of your system, and then that day that you take your drug test and pass, you're free to go. It's not a performance. I think it's performance enhancing from a calming, focus, energy preserving standpoint. But marijuana and cannabis is not looked upon as being like a performance enhancer, like a steroid or something like that. So it's just about playing the game, doing the right thing. If you get into trouble in pro sports, if you're out doing so, you put a target on your back. So basically you pass the drug test and you stay out of trouble, and you can consume all season long.
Well, it seems like that opens up the doors for more irresponsible type consumption of things like alcohol, like you're saying, right? To push people away from cannabis because it's so shunned. It's important for athletes to have advocates like you and Drew, our neighbor over at Freedom Green here in Kalkaska, to have people to stand up and say, and have an advocate to say that this works, and normalize it. I mean, it's across the whole spectrum. I mean, for the treatment of CTE, there's so many things that happen during the course of, an athlete's career that it's just constant trauma to your body, and to use a natural, plant in order to treat that versus, throwing a bunch of prescriptions and making, opioid, addicted, patients. It's important to have people to come out, because athletes are seen at, because we're always going to start talking about the children, right? And we don't want to start bringing cannabis up in front of children and athletes are role models for children, and as they absolutely should be, but they also need to be treated as, you know, the normal adults that they are, and everyone needs to normalize cannabis. And yeah, I think athletes really need advocates like you guys, and I'm glad to hear that, you know, you're willing to, you know, speak out. And you know, are there a group of people that kind of communicate normally about these types of things in order to advocate in the professional level?
So it's an interesting, great question, Tom. You know, right now I'm trying to put together some former NFL alumni players, and I know I would say a large percentage consumed cannabis. I would say 80%. Like I said, from the full spectrum approach, anti-inflammatory, you catch your psychoactive buzz, but all the benefits from cannabis. And now you're starting to see like the NFL changing their tune a little bit on regulations. And I would say, you know, you're starting to see it everywhere. We're here in Michigan, we're so fortunate to be in this market and to have this freedom, but you're starting to see it come together nationwide in pro sports. It's beginning to really take on a positive effect. You know, there was a negative taboo against cannabis, much more so than alcohol, and that, you know, alcohol has affected everybody's family for multiple generations, and it's socially acceptable. It's really nice to see that cannabis is, you know, inching towards that same mentality of being socially acceptable. Not only helping people with cancer or young children with epilepsy, but there's a multitude of different applications that cannabis has proven to be very effective in treating.
That's great. So you played some pro ball in Amsterdam. What did you behave yourself, or how did that go down?
Yeah, so I played when I got signed to the New York Jets as an undrafted free agent in 2005, and was fortunate enough to make it through training camp and make the practice squad. So my first 2 years, I was on the practice squad, and you just practice throughout the week. You don't travel with the team to games, but you're a scout team player, getting the starters prepared for the week ahead. So NFL Europe was around 1991 to 2007. I was extremely fortunate to play in the 2006 and 2007, the final 2 seasons. There were 5 teams in Germany and 1 team in Amsterdam. So you played each team once at their place, and then they'd come to your 10-game season. So I was very fortunate to play in Amsterdam 2 times and spent a lot of time in that city on my personal time. But yeah, extremely fortunate. It's a much different mentality over there, even in Germany and Europe. Even back in the mid 2005, 2006 timeframe, it was much more accepted from a society perspective than it was here in the United States. So it really is awesome to see how we are progressing and destigmatizing that taboo.
So you guys hit the dispensary before the game, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Game day morning, we played on a Saturday night there. We played our games on Saturdays there. But Saturday morning comes around, you're sitting in the hotel all day. And, I just went to my coach and I'm like, hey, I just want to go see the town and take a walk. He's like, stay off your feet and whatever. So I went down there and, got my mind right. And, it's the best town in the world. I have so much fun in that city. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I think Amsterdam's amazing. I spent a lot of time over there. Miss it a lot. I haven't been there in a few years. I'm just waiting for those days, Ryan and Tom, with the lounge up in Kalkaska. I feel like that's going to be dipping our toe a little bit into what it was like back in the day, and I can't wait to experience that. Sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Minus the space cakes and everything. But
Yeah.
we'll get there someday.
We definitely need space cake.
That cyclobin, baby.
Yeah. So, as far as with NOBO, how are you guys going about picking genetics? I know you've made some changes, and what do you have coming, and what's the philosophy behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. Ingo and Derek and other leaders, we've put together a game plan. We've moved in the direction of tissue culture and compound genetics. I mean, just getting really good, clean, healthy plants into the facility and makes the process a lot more attainable to really produce some excellent stuff. So we've moved in that direction of using tissue culture. we got some really exciting strains coming up. We have a platinum garlic, a gorilla breath, as you know, Ryan, some of the gorilla breath and the C4. They tested out fantastically, and they're great smokes. We have the purple punch cake, and we're growing a couple OGs, the marshmallow OG and the San Fernando Valley OG. It's hard to grow OGs in Michigan, so we're really teeing in the facility and the environment to really take advantage of these awesome strains. We also have some Ice Cream Man, some Dosilato, and some Garlic Grove coming. So very exciting stuff. You're nothing without your genetics, so we're really trying to be unique and provide the consumer with the best options.
How many Class C's do you guys have?
I don't want to speak uneducatedly. I want to say 5 or 6 times. We have a 40,000 square foot facility in Benton Harbor, and a little bit about NOBO. We're a little bit different. So we own the LED light company called Grow Ray. Excellent option. Really just kind of separates us in the vertical integration market. So we have our grow facility with the light company that we own, and then we have our processor connected to our facility as well. And one of the cool things about our processing facility is that we focus primarily on CO2 full spectrum extraction. So there's not a lot of people doing CO2. We at NOBO really promote the entourage effect. The best way to preserve cannabinoids, flavonoids, and terpenes is to extract it via CO2. The reason you don't see it being done so often is because you don't yield as much oil and it takes longer. But, we're just trying to separate ourselves in a distillate saturated market. These CO2 products are really just making a positive impact on every level. So we have our facility, we have our processor, and then we have our 4 provisioning centers. We are in Edwardsburg, Benton Harbor, Battle Creek, and Muskegon. And, God willing, and the way we're heading, we hope to have more very soon. But we're really just trying to build a unique, humble, hardworking operation, because there are so many people in this state that are doing a phenomenal job. You 3 gentlemen. And like I said, we're just humbled to be associated and to have an opportunity to play a role.
So, Charles, over the last few weeks, the big talk has been about the big recall. Just curious how NOBO's been affected. If you guys been able to navigate your way through that, have you been affected at all?
We have our 4 stores, so there was some inventory that was affected from that standpoint. But Ingo did a great job at interviewing all 11 labs. And, fortunately, we made a good decision to go with Cambion up in Traverse City. Great people. They do a great job for us. So from that standpoint, from a wholesale standpoint, we were not, like that, Tom, we were not, thankfully, we were not affected because, our flower wasn't tested through Viridis. Now, on the other hand, I feel extremely, it was a terrible time for cannabis. There were a lot of people, a lot of great operations that, chose poorly with the tester that they trusted to do it the right way with their flower. And so I looked at it as just a learning experience. Stay humble. Obviously, a lot of sales reps wanted to exploit that, we just have Cambion or another company as our tester and not Viridis. So I just wanted to be a support to people out there that needed help in a time of need. So that was just our role. Stay humble, stay consistent, because as you guys know now, the majority of that flower is retested, and I'm sure the majority of it will be back into the stores. So it was a good opportunity to see who showed their true colors from a service standpoint and exploitation standpoint. But we were very fortunate, just slow and steady and be of service.
Yeah, good for you guys. I'm glad that you guys did your homework on the research part. Like Tom said, thumbs up to Cambium. We've worked with them in the past. They've always done us really, really well. It's amazing to me what has come out with this whole recall thing. In recent weeks, it's come out that Viridis had developed their own methodology, that they were just testing however the hell they wanted to. That to me absolutely blows my mind. That's a systemic problem, and we need to fix that. And we need to fix that stat. For there to have been this much recalled and this many people affected, unacceptable. This is the job of our department that we fund greatly with our licensing fees, and for us to have been put in this situation, like I said, absolutely unacceptable, and I expect changes to come swift and fast.
Absolutely, Kevin. There's consequences for your actions, and it's just a shame that a lot of good people that were doing things the right way were affected negatively from it. So, you're naive if you don't realize that this just isn't about one company. This is about an industry. This is about a plant that has transformed all of our lives, and in turn, we use it to help other people and manage and all that stuff. So it was an unfortunate circumstance, and I hope everybody's doing all right out there rebounding from it.
I think it's important to come back to what you're saying as far as relationships go and understanding what's happening and not always shopping based upon the lowest bidder and trying to do the right things and not always cutting corners for the bottom line. I mean, that's rarely ever the most important thing is the bottom line. When it comes down to thing, I know that their business people with, masters in business that are probably their skin's crawling when they hear me say that, but it's true. And these are the types of things. If you do your research and you look into who owns the companies that you're working with and their past, I mean, these are huge roles. I mean, they basically, a safety compliance facility controls. I mean, you control your own destiny if you have quality, clean product going in, but you're entrusting somebody else to handle, like it's that chain of custody, and knowing the people involved and knowing that they work based on science and not just on bottom lines and they're more interested in doing the right thing for the science and that everything is accurate and compliant, because we are living in a very new industry and we're all trying to still navigate the things the state is too. But yeah, this is a huge black eye, and if we can learn one thing is to maybe be a little bit more invested in what your relationship is with the people you're doing business with.
Yeah, absolutely. Do your homework, do the interviews, find out, where these people came from, what they're all about. So, like I said, Ingo Oslin did a fantastic job through the interview process, and we were extremely fortunate last week.
It sounds like you guys have a really, really strong team here in Michigan. I'm glad to hear that. Considering that NOBO is based in Colorado, do you guys have plans on moving out and becoming multi-state operators, opening up any kind of stores or facilities outside of the state of Michigan?
Yeah, great question, Tom. So NOBO stands for North Boulder, but our headquarters and our home base operation is in Benton Harbor. Currently out in Colorado, we're building a state-of-the-art geothermal greenhouse project out there. It's pretty amazing, obviously, with the grow ray lights that kind of separate us from others from a greenhouse and an indoor perspective. So that's really exciting. And then about a month ago, we were extremely fortunate to get approved in Illinois for a provisioning center. So currently right now, yeah, I guess we are multi-state, but we are Michigan home base, our facility, and our 4 provisioning centers are here. So that's our main focus. But hey, maybe one day if we're fortunate, I know we have a great model and great people and ownership and leadership. Hopefully maybe one day we could get to that level. We don't want to become known as these huge, big cannabis companies. We want to kind of put our own unique footprint into the game. So we're just trying to do that at every level at NOBO Goods.
What did you guys get one of the grow licenses too in Illinois?
I'm not exactly sure. I believe this license was just for a provisioning center, Ryan. So I don't know that information off the top of my head.
Cool. And that's exciting. What would you say now as far as NOBO retail? You guys have been incredible at Redemption. In fact, I'm part of Redemption's part of you guys' social equity plan, and I really appreciate that, everything you've done. But also especially, Edwardsburg, I remember talking to Bill early on, Stoller, who's been, meeting with me, instead of paying me as a consultant, he'd take me out for food and drink. But it paid off. So I'm happy. But we talked about Edwardsburg, and it's been just a great for redemption. What percentage of NOBO flowers in your stores versus other brands, and is there ever a push to like people are trying to do all NOBO? What's a little bit of the philosophy behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we try to implement the most efficient model of vertical integration, but we're also cognizant of having variety, which is very important for the consumer. Our goal is obviously to move as much NOBO flower as possible through our stores to the consumer, but we also have a wholesale end. We also have to have relationships with great companies like Redemption, and looking forward to getting together with Tom and getting some of his flower into our shops. But we always want to associate ourselves with like-minded people. Right now, I think we're at just about 50% of our flower volume is NOBO flower. So we're really putting emphasis on the NOBO brand and moving NOBO flower through NOBO stores as well as other places on the wholesale market. But 50%, there's another 50% there for excellent vendors and people that do a great job cultivating. Kevin, you as well. I can't wait to get your guys' products in our store as well, because we're trying to learn as much as we can. And there's like Tom said, this is a new industry, so we're really trying to navigate. I mean, it's been the fastest year of my life. The days go by so quickly. I know it's because I love my job and I love the industry, but man, oh man, it's flying. So we're just trying to be conservative and do things the right way, and really cater to the consumer.
Yeah, I just had some folks in from Arizona, some friends that are in the industry, and we were talking about that Michigan compared to other markets there, and they're in Colorado, Arizona, Illinois, but then they're also in Oklahoma, and Oklahoma is the same way. And we're just talking about Michigan right now. It feels like if you take a week off at the wrong time, you're behind. Like, yeah, it can change. It can change so fast. So that's pretty incredible. What any other final plans for NOBO or anything in the works? I know you guys are part of our. Also, another thing you're helping with is our holiday drive with Sons and Daughters and the foundation, and we're getting. It's awesome that we're able to buy Christmas presents for people that are either affected by cannabis prohibition or disabilities, especially that end of it with Josie Scoggin helping, who is from Benton Harbor, so it's been a great connection. But besides that, anything in the next couple of months, anything coming out of processing or you want to talk about?
We right now we're really trying to nail processing and get some unique products. We have the CO2 full spectrum gummies and the CO2 dart syringe, which is really nice for topping off the bowl or the pre-roll or the blunt. Really gives you like a hash aspect, allows your flower to burn slower, and you get that old school hash taste with that full spectrum CO2 oil. But we got a couple ideas we're trying to get in and be unique. We're getting into some infused pre-rolls and some things like that. We're considering possibly getting into some live resin carts and CO2. CO2 is solventless, so it's very similar to live resin from a property standpoint. So we're just we're considering a multitude of ideas and talking to the consumers. But I think our main mindset at NOBO is just continuing to get better, really staying humble, and taking advantages of our opportunities. I know all that stuff sounds cliche, but really when you break down this industry, and Tom and Kevin, and obviously this, Ryan, it's a relationship industry. So just trying to build those ground roots with great like-minded companies, and expand the pie. I think there's everybody. I don't want to sound corny, but I don't look at people as competition. I look at this as like we're all fortunate to have a seat at the table, and whatever we can do to expand the pie, and everybody can have success. So we're just trying to play our role, really grow great flower, and produce some awesome CO2 full spectrum products coming out of processing. So,
And I had the hot sauce. You guys brought me that. That was nice. I enjoyed that. But Charles, it was great having you on. I want to give a chance for Kevin and Tom to say goodbye before we wrap up. Kevin.
Yeah, you mentioned about staying humble and trying to be with like-minded people. I'm fearful of the days to come where every other industry in this world is corporatized, and every dollar is sucked out to a phantom corporation that just doesn't ever hit the ground floor. And we have an opportunity here with this new industry to build something that has longevity for a ton of people. I love your mantra on that aspect. I've always said the exact same thing. I'm not afraid of Tom as a competitor. I'm not afraid of you guys as a competitor. You guys, we're all friends and family. There's room for everybody to eat, and I appreciate you guys taking that approach. I think that's awesome. It was great having you on the show, and I look forward to building a relationship with you moving forward, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting some of our flower into your shop. So we'll continue that conversation as we move forward, and you have a great holiday season, and I hope everybody over at NOBO has a safe and good one.
thank you so much, Kevin. It's a pleasure, sir.
How do you follow that, right? No, man, I agree on all fronts with Kevin. And I just wanted to add, if you're ever up in this area on your many travels, please stop by and say hi. We'd love to show you around, and make sure you bring some of that solvent list with you for me, a little R&D, you know what I'm saying?
Always, Tom. I look forward to it, man. I'll be up seeing you soon. I have a baby boy due in 9 days. God bless.
Congratulations.
God bless my wife. So in the same boat as Ryan,
Right.
I think driving 10,000 plus miles was just trying, really getting prepared for taking. I'll never take time off, because you can always do. You can work from anywhere, but I will have to take a little bit of break on driving around the state. But I'll be up to see you soon, Tom. It'd be my pleasure. I'd love to get your samples.
Best of luck to you and your family. That's great news, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So Charles shows up with a big toolbox full of weed too. It's pretty awesome.
Here, I got it right here.
Make sure you grab the weed bag and not the diaper bag, okay?
Yeah,
Nice.
that's his weed. Yeah.
Nice.
Just trying to be different.
So, Charles, any final goodbyes?
I just wanted to thank you so much for the opportunity to be on this show. Ryan, thank you so much for the opportunity for NOBO to be involved with Redemption. It's it's one of the best stories in the whole state, and one of the best foundations in the whole state. Everything that you stand for, we're on that same page, and we're extremely humbled to be associated with you guys and the Redemption Foundation. So really looking forward to continuing doing a lot of business. Tom and Kevin look forward to cultivating some business relationships as well. But just humbled to be a part of this show, and humbled to be associated with you guys.
Oh man, Charles, I appreciate it, and NOBO has been great to me. And you talk about relationships, and we hit Croptober in October, and obviously none of the Redemption product was touched by Virtus, but things slow down. That's just we expected that, but NOBO is one of the groups that chugs right along for Redemption and really did a lot of supporting. So thank you for the relationship as well, and it was great having you on. And with that, see everybody next week.
Thank you, man.